Alright, welcome and thank you for tuning back into the second part of our artificial intelligence tutorial series here. In the first one, we set up our assets that we needed. We set up the actual bot and got a model in there, which happens to just be the third-person character model. Okay. We set up the blackboard and the values that we were going to need. We set up the AI bot controller, the brain of the bot. Got it all set up to use that blackboard, and also set up a few pieces of information such as the home location, which will be where the bot starts. Now we've also put in the nav mesh bounds volume, which is that green thing you see out there. So if you don't know how to do any of that and you haven't done any of that yet, please tune into my first video and get caught up on that. Otherwise, here we go, we're going to get right into it. This one we're going to do the behavior tree. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied today. We're going to do the behavior tree, and we're going to set up the aggro so that our bot is kind of just running around, doing whatever it wants. But then when we get within a certain range of it, it's going to say, ooh, something for me to take care of, something for me to attack, and then it's going to run at us. It's not going to do anything when it gets there. It's just going to run at us right now. So go ahead and double-click on your behavior tree, and you're going to see this nice little graph right here. Now this is different from the blueprint graphs because there's no pins, but these dark blocks here, you can drag off of them, and you don't have a whole lot of things, but you do have some choices that you can make in there and get things set up. So what we're going to do first is we're going to have to set up a few things here. We need what's called a selector. Okay, so we're going to drag out and we're going to select this as a selector. Now what this is going to do is it's going to look, and it's going to have some kind of a check on it, whether it's the aggro check or whether it's looking for a player, whether it's looking for a weapon, whatever it may be. And based on the answer to that question, it's going to do one of two things. It's either going to go looking for something else because it's gotten what it wants, or because it doesn't have what it wants, it's going to go looking for something else, or it's going to do something else. So with that in mind, we're going to drag off of this one, and we're going to do two different things. First thing is we're going to do another selector, and then we're going to do a sequence, if I can type to pull it up. Okay. Now you'll notice that you'll see these numbers here, 0, 1, 2. This is the order in which everything's going to fire. So if you wanted the sequence to fire first, you would have to put it in front of the selector. And then now you see that became a 1 and the selector became a 2. But we want the selector first and the sequence second. Okay. Now with that, well, we got to decide what we're going to have this first selector looking for. And what we do for that is we're going to do is make what's called a service. Okay. Now, within the service, okay, you're going to click on a button up here in this thing. You'll see new task, new decorator, new service. Click on new service. Now when you make this new service, it's going to automatically have BT service, blueprint base, blah blah blah, but it'll be saved wherever that behavior tree is located within your file. So as you can see here, it's right here. Okay. Now from here we got to do a few things. Okay, this is going to be what's called the aggro check. Okay, we're going to, in fact, let's go ahead and just rename it. I'm going to hit F2 to rename, and we're just going to call this aggro check. So what that's going to look for is it's going to be we're running around. Do we ever see the player? No. Oh hey, here's the player. Now what do I do now that I've seen the player? So, because this is going to be firing off every couple of seconds, every milliseconds, maybe a couple of minutes, however long you may need, we need to do an event receive tick. Okay. Now, what that's going to allow us to do is every time the game is being played, a time frame is ticking. Okay, every second ticks. Every one of these ticks is going to come into this aggro check, and it's going to fire off this line of code that we're about to put in, these nodes and all. and it's going to look for certain things, and based off of what it finds is going to be what it does. So now with that set up, the next thing we need to do is we need to cause a branch here. So we're going to hit B as in Bob, and we're going to pull up our branch. Now with all branches you have to have a condition. Okay, something has to be met in order for it to work. So what we need to do first is we're going to set up the false branch here. Okay, we're going to drag down. We're going to do a cast to AI underscore bot con. Okay. The reason why we're going to cast to this is because we'll have to pull from this later, and it's going to be easier than dragging this all the way over there, dragging it all the way over there. We won't have to worry about any of that this way. So right click, promote to variable, and drag that right there. Give this a name. We're just going to call it AI bot cont, so that we keep the naming convention going the same. Now what object are we going to plug into this? Well, we're ticking in the bot's brain, so the actor is going to be the bot. So we're going to drag on over to that. Go ahead and compile and save. So now what this is going to do is if our condition is false, whatever our condition may be, we're going to cast to our bot, and we're going to make our bot. Okay, we're going to make our bot thing equal up to all of the bots that we have in the level. Okay, this will only fire once unless all bots are dead. Then this may fire again. Now what we need to do is we need to have that, we need to set up the conditional. So we're going to go ahead and over here in the variable bot, so we're going to drag this out, we're going to get it, we're going to drag off of that node, and we're going to want a not equal object. Now you know you have the right one if you have the line up and down and the equal sign, and then plug that into that. Let's move that a little closer. Alright, so now if AI bot doesn't equal anything, because it's not going to equal anything, that's going to be a empty value unless it's false, then it's false. We're going to set it to be something. It's no longer going to be empty. It's going to be either a 0 or a 1 to make it easier to understand. If it's 0, there's nothing in it. If there's 1, there's something in it. Alright. The next thing we need is we need to get all of the actors of our bot class. Okay. So now that's not grabbing the AI bot itself, or it's grabbing the actual bot. So we're going to drag off of true. We're going to type in get actors, and we're looking for get all actors of class. Drag this up. And then the class that we want is our AI bot. Okay. Because that's what we have. Yeah. Alright. Now the other thing we're going to do is we're going to drag this up here and connect to this. The reason for that is that regardless of what is going on, we want everything from this actor node here onward to fire regardless of true or false. But if it's false, we want it to set our bot to 1. If it's 0, then we need to set it. If it's already a 1, we can just bypass this and go straight to the fun stuff. So now the next thing that we need is we need a variable. It's going to be a vector variable, and it's going to be called myLocation. Now we can drag that out, and we're going to set this. The reason we're going to set it is because we're going to feed some information into it. So we connect that up. Now we can get our AI bot thing here. Get that. We're going to do get controlled pawn. And then we're going to get the actor's location, because we need to know where our pawn is. Whatever pawn it may be. It may be pawn 1, it may be pawn 401. But we still need to know what its location is. Okay. Now the next thing that we need to do is we need to have Apparently we're going to put some tracing in here. That's weird. Hold on a sec. Alright. Well, next thing we're going to do is we're going to drag off of our set here, and we're going to put a multi-sphere traced by objects. Okay. And what this is going to do is this is going to put a sphere around our character or around the bot, and we're going to use this trace to look for the player, to look for anything, not just the player, but anything you want it to look for. Okay. Now the thing we're going to do here, I'm going to drag this down a little bit because I'm going to have a node come off of this. We're going to drag to here, okay, and then I'm going to get a reroute node and drag it down to that. I like using reroutes because they make it look a little cleaner, so we're going to do it that way. Now for the start position, we're going to get our character's actual location at his feet. Okay. We're also going to drag off of this, and we're going to add a little bit to the vector, and we're going to use that as the end position. So it's like saying I'm going to start here and I'm going to end here. Now we're not going to mess with the Y and we're not going to mess with the X values. We are, however, going to mess with the Z value, which is a height value. Okay, and we're going to, let's go ahead and make that 15 and see what happens with that. Now this number you may have to adjust later. All this is doing is just making the sphere that's at the feet of your character that's going to go out there and look for everything you can find. Okay, and you can set that size right here under radius. In this case, let's say I want a radius of, let's say 1,000. Okay, so we'll punch in 1,000. Now with that done, we're going to go on to the next thing, and we're going to do a for each loop with break. Because if we don't have any bots, then we don't need to do any of this, and we're just going to break it and leave it alone. Now with that, we're going to drag off, and we're going to do a line trace. Now this line trace you don't necessarily need. All this is going to be so that you can see as you're doing it, oh, there it is. It draws a line from you to the character or to whatever is seen. That way you can say, hey, you know, I see you, and you can tell that it's actually working. Now we're going to also draw off array element, and we're going to do a break hit results. By breaking the hit results, we can get several different pieces of information that we don't need all of this. Some of it we do, but not all of it. Sorry. In this case, we only need one thing, and that's this hit actor. Okay. The hit actor will always be our pawn, so we're going to get actor location. Or no, it's not going to be our pawn, but it's going to be whatever we hit. So like if we run after something and we hit the player, we're going to get the player's location. And we're going to do that at the end. Now remember we made this my location thing? We're going to cause that to be the beginning. Alright. So we're going to start it wherever we spawned, and if we see something, we're going to run to that location. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I forgot to make one thing here. On object types, we need to make this a variable. And we need to just give it a name. I'm just going to name it desired object types. And because we're going to store information within that. So now with that we can move on. Okay, we'll go ahead and recompile and save this real fast. Alright, so now we've got all of that set up. Alright, now what actors do we want to ignore? This would be like, say you want to ignore weapon pickups or ammo pickups, health pickups, anything that's an actor that you do not want the bot to worry about. The only actor the bot should be worrying about in our demo is the player. So we don't want him to worry about other bots that he encounters. So we're going to drag off of this, about right there, add a reroute node, and then we're going to drag it down to there. There we go. That way, if it collides with another bot, who cares? It ain't going to do nothing. But if it collides with the player, then it'll do all this. Okay. And you can see drug debug type. If we wanted to see something, we could, for one frame, and it would draw it for one frame. As long as we're touching each other, it would be drawing the line. Persistent, even if we're not touching anymore, that line's still going to be there from that location to the other location. It will not follow you. But most of the time I just leave it to none unless I need to actually see it. Okay. So now with that, we're going to plug in a few more things here. And I know this looks like a lot, but unfortunately we need it all. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a branch. Okay. Because now we're going to look for a few other things. We're going to look for, this is going to be the part that tells us, do we follow the player? Or do we just kind of run off into La La Land and do whatever we want? So we're going to connect that up. And we're going to do another break hit result. Now, we need to get some information from back here a little bit. Okay. We're going to look at the actor we hit and where they were hit. Okay. This one will show us, will find the bot, or if the bot will find something. This one here is, well, when he found something, what are we going to do about it? So we got to know what he's hit again, here. So we're going to do this. We're going to drag off of this, add reroute, drag off of that again, add another reroute, and then we're going to drag up to here, and we're going to do an equal. Object equals object. Okay. And now we're going to drag off of this hit actor. Sorry, I just like my stuff to look a little neater. And then that, and then that. There we go. Alright, now from there, okay, we're going to have to do a few other things. I keep saying that, I know, and it's annoying. But we're going to drag off of the false, because this is actually an easy one. We're going to set Blackboard value as object. And we're going to, on the key, we're going to promote to a variable, and whatever this variable is needs to match the name of the object within the Blackboard. So we're going to do target to follow. So say compile. Alright, that's done as far as the false line goes. Now, what if what we meet is the player? Well, we want it to go to another location. So, what location do we want them to go to? Well, we want them to go to the player's location that they found. So, we're going to go ahead and copy this, because we do need this. So, we'll paste it up here, connect that up. And then we're going to go over here, and we're going to do set Blackboard again. But this time we're going to set as a vector. And then the vector that we're going to set is going to be the location of whatever it was we hit. So right there, add a reroute node. We're going to connect up to that because the value, the target is going to be whatever we hit. And then off of that as well, we're going to go over here. We're going to get actor. And we don't want parent actor. We want actor's location. And then we're going to drag that into that value. Now, with that, we also have to tell it, well, what vector information are you saving? So we have to make another variable. And that variable, if I can stop minimizing things, is going to be called target location. All right. Now remember how we made two of these items in our blackboard. If we go back here to our wrong one. If we go back here to our blackboard, we have target to follow and we have target location. Okay. So with those two things, this is what we're saying. We set this object and we're setting this vector. So we're needing to know where are we going to run to once we see this, whatever it is we hit that we're going to go chasing. Okay. So now with that has that all set up. So now we can compile and save it. Okay. And what we're going to do now is we're going to have to tell it, well, when are we using this? Why are we going to use this? You know. So we have to get all of that set up. But the next thing we need to do is, like, this service is having it do something, having it look for something, okay? We also need to have a task, all right? So once all this is done, it needs to be told what to do, physically told what to do. So we're going to go back into our behavior tree, okay? And we're going to do like we did a minute ago, we're going to create new task. Okay. Now on this, it did the same thing. You know, it made it right here, BP task. Okay. And I'm going to change its name and I'm going to call it, I'm just going to call it rapid move to. Because this is going to be the one that, he's not even going to hesitate. The bot's just going to charge you. He's just going to go all out ham on you and come after you. Alright, so now that we have that, we can go back over here to our task, and we're going to have to create two variables, and we've already created them before, so it's not going to be anything new. Okay, we're going to have to create us a target to follow, which will be an object. No. You know, we'll just do it differently. We'll do it a different way. All right. On here, we're going to type in event receive execute. Okay. The reason we want an execute, not a tick in here, is because the ticking one is going to look at things and tell us that it found something. Okay, once it finds something, it's still got to be told exactly what to do. And that's where this comes in. This execute will tell it what to do to get where it needs to get. So we're going to do like we did before. We're going to hook up our branch. Drag this up here. Off of the false, we're going to do a cast to AI underscore bot. We got to cast to the controller. Okay. Now we're going to promote this to a variable again. And this variable will be AI underscore bot. Or forget the underscores. We're just going to do like we did in the other one. Alright. Drag that on over here. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to drag this out with a get. We're going to do a equal, so not equal object. and connect those up. Again, we're going to leave this field here blank, because if it doesn't equal any object, if it equals a 0, we want it to come in here, and we want it to equal a 1. Okay. Now, once that's done, we're going to go AI. We're doing AI move to. Now you'll get this nice big old thing right here. Alright. We're going to connect that up. Okay. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to drag this out. Okay. Now I'm only dragging these out in case you're using an older version of the Unreal Engine. If you're using the new ones, you can just drag off of this. And then we're going to drag that out and get controlled pawn again. And the controlled pawn will plug right here into the pawn field. And then we're going to, let's see, we're going to create the variable. We're going to go target to follow. And what this is a key, not an object. I was doing it wrong earlier. So we're going to turn it into a key. We're going to drag this on out here as a get, or get Blackboard. Hold on one sec, I gotta figure out why it's not tied up. Whoops. It should be. Let's drag off. Let's do this backward to it. Get Blackboard value as actor, and then we'll plug in or not. Alright, we'll just make a variable off of this. Delete that one. Yeah, let's take it out. That's what I did wrong. See how it's Blackboard key and I just put a regular key. If you type in key here, you'll see Blackboard key selector key event. I should have selected Blackboard key selector and it would have worked easier and we wouldn't have had to do it the backwards way. But it still works. So there's that. And then on success, we're going to finish the execute. Now that is going to take and check success there. Okay, so once we're fired off something, once we get to the thing, we're going to finish. That's it. You know, until we get there, then we're just going to keep chasing them. So go ahead and compile and save that. Okay. Now with that, we have one more thing we need to set up and make. We can go ahead and close out the Rapid 2 and this and the Blackboard, in fact. The next thing we need to make is we need to make what's called a decoder. Okay. Now my apologies. A decoder is also known as a conditional within the behavior tree system. So what it's saying with the decoder is, like I said here before, if we find this, do this. If we find that, do that. That's what the decoder does. It's the conditional. It's the if and if then statement. So that's what we need to make now. So we're going to click on New Decoder. Again, it's going to open this up. I'm going to minimize it and rename it out here to let's see, we'll name it close enough, because that's what it's going to be. Are we close enough to the thing to run after him? Are we not close enough to him and just kind of ignore the fact that he may be around? And I'm going to go ahead and save this as an overall real quick. Alright, so now with that done, we're going to open that back up. And we're going to do, this one's actually going to be fairly simple. So we won't even have to do too much to it. But we're going to create, again, we're going to create our target to follow, and we're going to do this right this time and type in key and Blackboard key selector. We're going to make another variable that is called the AI bot cont, and we can just do AI underscore bot continue. Make sure that's the same in there. Alright, now perform. Let's see, what am I doing wrong? Alright, next thing you need to do is you need to come up here to functions, override, perform condition check. Now what this is going to do is, this is the if statement right here. If this is true, do this. If this is false, do that. Okay, this is the if. Alright, this is what we're going to do. So we're going to drag off of this. We're going to do cast to AI underscore bot cont. Connect that up. We've already made the reference thing, so we can just connect that to that. And then we're going to connect this to the return node. Now, with that in mind, we're going to drag this out, and we're going to do a get, and we're going to drag this out, and we're going to do another get. And then off of the target follow, we're going to do get Blackboard as actor. Sorry. We're going to, after that, we're going to get actor location, because we want to know where the target we're supposed to follow is. If they're within range, then it's true. If they're not within range, it's false. Now off of the bot, we're going to get controlled pawn. We're going to get his location. And then we're going to take and we're going to subtract these two, because we want to know if where the bot is and where the player is smaller than a certain distance. Now, how do we tell it what that distance is going to be? Well, we're going to drag off of the results and we're going to do vector length. Alright, vector length. Now what that's going to do is that's going to turn the result of this equation into a float. Okay. Then off of that we're going to do a greater than or equal. Alright. And then we're going to connect that up to that. But what do we want to know? What value do we want to know? How are we going to tell what the value is? Alright. Well, we are going to have to create that variable. Alright? And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to make the variable. We're going to come over here to variables. We're going to call this acceptable distance. And then that is going to be a float. There it is. So, how far from everything? Sorry. How far from everything? How far from this other target can we be before it'll start saying, hey, you know, I need to go chase you now? Well, that variable is set to whatever you want. Okay? Well, it's set in another location, I believe, too. But we'll get into that in a minute. So we're going to drag that out and we're going to connect that up. Now, with that being done, we don't have to change anything right now. Alright? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and end this here, because it's already getting a little long, so compile, save it. We've got our checks set up. we've got for our decorators, we've got our task, and we've got our service. So now in the next video, we're going to hook all of that up into our behavioral tree so that our bot can hopefully start moving. So I'll see you in the next video.